Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here in my music studio again. This is the second episode of what I would like to call From Flat to Expressive, where we go through a piece of music and see how we can work on the notes, so to say, and add these little spicy things, the salt and pepper, into our quote-unquote interpretation to just go from a performance that is like maybe flat with just the notes to something that people will say like, okay, but now I understand the music. So that's our job. That's the job as a musician. And so I will take you through my process in this series, which you in the first episode, let me know that you appreciated that very much. I didn't have any time to work on my setup, so the lighting is terrible. I apologize for that. I will be adjusting that in the future. Let me know what you think about this series, what you want me to talk about. Also, the combinations that we have now with 1 week this kind of video and the other week like an excerpt of our excellent, can I say it? No, I just enjoyed very much podcast that I record with Stefan now every week on Substack. So today we're going to talk about the C minor Prelude of the second book. And if I just play it very quickly, it's this piece. We're going to work on that and see what we can do to just create some depth into the music. As I said in the first episode, I'm not going to edit these episodes. I'm not going to sit at my computer and have the score overlay. So I guess many of you have the second book of the Well-Tempered Clavier of Bach on the shelf. Just take it or download it from IMSLP. It's available in a multitude of scores, so you can follow. And that allows me to actually record these videos, because post-production in video is what kills the process, I would say. So we're going to do that. When you're watching this video, before we go dive into that, when you're watching this video right after the release, we have until the 22nd of October, our Kickstarter for this book, for the recording. So there's a second volume. This is the first one. CDs and streaming and download and everything will be available. Also, there are discounts for the previous releases of Bach, so check it out. It's until now a huge success. I cannot say how proud I am and thankful to all of you who have backed this already. So let's make it a really unbelievable Kickstarter. Just check it out. There's a link below, and there's a video on Kickstarter, so to see if it's something for you. So without further ado, let's dive into this magnificent piece. It's a very known piece, and in fact, I guess many of you, I'm sorry, play this. I played this like when I was just starting with music. Even I didn't play any keyboard instrument like type of piano, definitely not harpsichord or clavichord. I just played the organ. Within school we had this piano, upright piano, and I was allowed to play on that during middays, and so I spent some time, 17, 18, playing this kind of music, and I really enjoyed that. By the way, the principles of all of what we're going to talk about here is applicable to whatever instrument you play. If you play Bach on a keyboard or a synthesizer, even a piano, a harpsichord, a clavichord, an organ, it doesn't matter. The translation might be a little bit different according to the instrument, but the principles are the same, and I will be talking about that as well. And by the way, I will also make recordings on that piano, that beautiful forte piano there, with some other music. Since yes, I am playing that piano again, and that you will hear in the coming months. Let's not be exaggerating in time. So let's start. This is, as with all pieces by Bach, it's not so easy to understand at first. I understand that. And I hear in the time when I was teaching more, when people were playing pieces like that, you heard it like this. Or even slower. That's like a very common, typical, I would say, performance that you would hear from a student in music school. And this might also something that you're struggling with. Okay, but I play the notes, and then what? Well, let's look at the score. So Bach, of course, and we were going to talk about Mozart and some Haydn and Beethoven in the future. But with Bach, and it's a bit similar to them as well, you have always to look like there are two voices, there are three voices, every voice has its say. And what many people do is look at the right hand and forget the left hand. That's super, super important. A lot of this music is built from the left hand harmonically. But on top of that, you have also what we would call a melody, but in fact, in Bach's time, especially here, are actually just motives. So if you look at the right hand, and we go this whole line down at the beginning. In fact, it's nothing more than so 4 motives. Bach is just repeating those. And what is now the essential thing of this motive? In fact, it enhances one note. And it's not so hard to discover which one. This is an up step to the A flat. So in fact, Bach is actually just doing this. And he makes something out of that. Okay, now, just harmonic chords. You could say it's beautiful, but it's not music. In the sense that where is the message, in the sense of like the craftsmanship, or how do you say that in English? The interwoven story that he creates out of these simple harmonies. The harmonies are the foundation of everything. There you have to start from the left hand. So you have the motives, you have the melodic notes, the main notes. It's just the first bar, of course, in the left hand and the next bar that's repeated. Clavichord is a little bit out of tune. I'm tuning it for the Mozart project, and so it needs to behave a little bit, and it doesn't always want that. So that's why some notes are a little bit shaky. And then you have the left hand, which is repeated in the right hand. So in many performances that go in a tempo that is very high, especially on piano, you hear a lot of pianists play this piece like very... And then it's just like a kind of cheap Alberti bass. And of course, when you play it much faster, if you want to do that, then it kind of makes sense to forget, quote-unquote, about the left hand, because the left hand, it's just a rhythmical support of the right hand. But remember, left hand is the basic, the foundation, where many of these composers, 18th and also still 19th century, thought from, the harmonic essential foundation of the entire piece. So we better pay some attention. It starts with the C, then we have the octave, we go down again a fifth to the F, supporting the harmony, of course. So you have and now comes the pepper and the salt story. Like how do you emphasize this? How do you make this clear in a sense that the listener actually gets the way you see this piece? So the motive with the main note, and then the left hand, like we have there the harmonies, very simple, and then we have the jumping intervals. Obviously here, where in the right hand this note is the most important one, it's in the left hand the accompanying chord, I would say, foundational note. And so let's try to make this clear. We don't do that by jumping around. We can do that, we could do that by giving like a huge accent. But the interval is also important, because the interval creates the atmosphere, the character, and not necessarily the interval on itself, but the way we play it. Listen, so if I play everything legato, that's flat. So there is no distinction between the notes that are important right now and the notes that are not important or less important. And if we think that the lower note is important, well, then we should emphasize it. Then we get these intervals. Pom, pom, doo-dum. You could also say, but there is a beautiful counter interval in the sense like we're going down, like a falling fifth, like a falling sixth, which is very expressive. Then we get something else. Then we start with the C. Then we have an articulation. Articulation is and accentuation go hand in hand. It's key in creating this depth in music. So we make an articulation. So then we have suddenly the emphasis on the high note. Or we have I have to say that's a decision we have to make, and let's see if we can come up with some ideas. So if we now go to the right hand and see what we want to do there, then we can maybe connect it to the left hand. So the right hand obviously has these motives, and there again accentuation is important, articulation as well. Fingering also. I will not emphasize in this series on the fingering, the technical aspects of how to study that music. That will come. I plan to make series on that, and as you all know, I'm planning to build a membership site where we have a lot of these courses more structured around practicing the pieces from A to Z, and then also creating this understanding of the score. If you're interested in that, there is a link in the description below. Just put your name on that email list. There is no expectation for you. If you do that, just you give me a sign that you are at least mildly interested in me having or me thinking about building that. I won't do that when we do not create like a large enough group of people that actually would like me to do that, because otherwise it's a lot of work. But I would be looking forward to that. So let's focus on the right hand. See, now I emphasize these notes with an accent. You can do that on the piano as well. It's more difficult at the organ and the clavichord, but then you have another trick. You can also make the accents by lengthening the note. And there comes, of course, how long. I'm going to exaggerate right now. If you heard what I'm doing now, that's on the organ very difficult, but you can do it perfectly on the harpsichord and the piano even. Also, I'm holding the note just longer and I just continue to play. So. Clavichord is perfect for that because you have the ability to give a strong accent without disturbing the sound of the other voices. If you don't want to do that, and you say, okay, I'm going to wait there, then you do actually the same thing, but you do not lengthen the note, you just make an articulation gap. And then the question is, of course, which one are the most important notes? Maybe you don't want to give on every note the same accent, the same weight, and so the articulation or the timing to lengthen that note actually diminishes a little bit. It sounds maybe a little bit complex, but it's harder to explain in words than actually to demonstrate. So listen, I'm going to exaggerate again. Everything is clear now, but obviously we're not following the rhythm. If you would take a metronome, that would sound terrible because you're completely out of time. And so we have to diminish that a little bit, but the idea is there. Sounds different compared to the left hand, same thing. And then comes the left hand in the first bar. So it's probably very hard if you want to, even in my score I have a bow. I've put a bow from the high C to the low F, so to emphasize this. But it's very difficult. It's not impossible. I will demonstrate that. So the easiest way to help emphasize what is important in the right hand, is to go along with it. You see, if you want to do it in the other way, then it becomes like a little bit tricky because, and I'm not even going to explain, you have to do the same while doing the other. talking about tempo, we're not going to talk too much about tempo in these videos, but of course the tempo ordinario plays, which is like a normal tempo. In this case, you would say it's like around 60, but in Bach's time, I'm not so sure that, but it could be like a little slower. That's something that is for me to investigate after I'm writing finish the book on the metronome and the metronome marks. But here you have a lot to say. So in many of these instances, you could actually go a little bit slower, and I don't know exactly what my tempo is, but I think it's slower than 60 on the CD recording, because you need some time. And by the way, if you want to know what Czerny's tempo is, it's 132 for the quarter note, which is very fast. If I have my just for those of you interested, and listen, again, I'm not making the case here for the metronome whole beat practice, but it are these instances that might surprise people. So this 132, if I play according to the metronome, you would say it's pretty fast. And now you can say like, okay, but Wim, this sounds a little fast, but not crazy, but I'm playing in whole beat now. So Czerny and single beat would be, it's on clavichord basically impossible. You would have to change the fingering, but that's as a side remark. So now we have the first two bars. We emphasized the main notes in the right hand, and the left hand we do the same. We're going along with that in the left hand to support that melody or whatever, or motif, however you want to call it. And then we arrive in the second line, and that will be our next topic. So I'm going to play from here till there, and then we continue. Sorry. And then we come again, like. Again, it is not a chain of notes. There are important notes and there are less important notes. So Bach is just ornamenting the main notes. That's the entire art of composition. So what is the essential element? What are the essential elements or notes of this bar? It's just this. Sorry. Yeah, the harmony is actually you should change that. It wasn't too bad as an example, but anyways, you get the point. So it's just this melody. And then you have an ornament around them. So that's it. So this note, how do we create this distinction again? This depth is just a bit the same way. Accentuation, articulation, and timing. Timing in essentially is holding notes of holding rests. Like the strong beat gets a little bit more, like there is an elasticity in time. You can stretch the strong beats and like correct for it in the next beat. Don't exaggerate with that, because then it will sound very awkward. But there are a lot of ways to do that. I'm not going to talk too much in depth in this, because that's not so easy right now. I want to focus on the essential things: accentuation and articulation. Timing comes by itself in this sense. So we're going to try that by just giving accent on the first note. And then the left hand is supported. Tom tom pom, tim pom pom pom, tim tom pom. So this motor tone. Same thing here, strong notes. So not this. So either by articulation or just by accent. And once you see that in this piece, these simple harmonic and melodic lines following each other, then suddenly it's like, becomes like you're simplifying the piece instead, but it's in fact, which is very important because you understand now how Bach composed this. But it becomes very difficult because those are the elements you have to work with. You have to let the listener hear those distinctions. Those are the important notes. Those are the not important notes. Those are the important notes that come on the heavy beat. Those are the important notes that come on the, let's say, weak beats. And all of that you do by accentuation, articulation, and timing. Again, timing is like a little bit harder to explain. And then you have two components. Playing this piece in a way that is very convincing in, let's say, a tempo that allows you to bring those elements forward, because if you play much faster, it becomes so much easier to play this piece because you don't have to do anything. Everything becomes like a rhythmical impulse, and a lot of which is fine. If you want to do that, I'm not judging here. People sometimes say that it's just because I have a different perspective on the music, but it's true. When you play it much faster, the only thing you have to do is play the notes on time. You give a little bit of accents on the piano. It's very easy, especially in that tempo. Many pianists play this piece, but then it becomes also a little bit flatter in like how you actually experience the music, because everything is then in a way reduced to a rhythmical experience, which can work very fine and perfect, but maybe Bach did more effort in writing something underneath that. But when you play it in a tempo that's like this, it allows you to create this three-dimensional picture of it. And at the same time, it's very hard to understand why that music works so powerfully on our emotions, so to say. Why is this piece so popular? If you analyze it, it's like... I mean, that's like basic harmonic exercise, first grade, I'm not even conservatory. And then comes, of course, into play the ornaments and the way Bach is creating a kind of balance between everything, proportions between these small little ornaments that are on itself nothing, but create this atmosphere combined with the intervals, combined with the way that the intervals go downwards, upwards, the harmonic changes that are like the modulations that are not so difficult here, but yet are on the right time. And then when playing this complete piece, there is something that is hard to explain. That is the reason why it started once with the Beyond the Notes, to try to explain that. And many of you want me to bring that series back. That you come to this, experience with this music, that after playing the last note, you say, whew, I feel a different human being right now. It may sound like I'm using too big of words, but that's what sometimes happens with music. That's why music is so powerful. That's why people listen and play music. And in pieces like this, you are really close to the essential of music, where not much is going on. It's just like Beethoven. Beethoven uses like nothing, as not even melody sometimes, not even a motive. Sometimes it's just a note. And then something happens which is unbelievable. So your job as a musician, regardless of what level you have, is to try to find out where do I focus on. And I hope in this series it's just touching on the surface, and I wish I could find a way to just explain everything like in 20 or 25 minutes. But it's just touching upon the surface to make you think, to give you a little bit of a direction in how to do that. When you see that direction, then it's still a matter of weeks and months sometimes, and sometimes even years to let that information sink and to bring everything in proportion, so that you not overdo something and you not underdo something, and it is just like in the middle. And that is for me as difficult as for anyone else. That is just not something, if you hear a performance that I'm doing or on the CD, wherever you listen to, or any musician, that comes like overnight. It's something that needs time. And also now it's a Friday morning. It would sound terrible if I played a piece completely. I mean, it would not sound terrible, but it would not sound on the level, so to say, that I really want to have it. It's something that needs time. You need to do that every day. Think about it. And when you do that, share the recordings. Just take your phone and record it and share it on YouTube in the comment here below, so that we create also this community of people that can go and listen and just comment on each other and just help out each other. I will check it as well. I have to be honest, I didn't do that for the first video. My life currently is very exciting. I have a lot of cool projects and things to do, among which is recording stuff and writing the book. But I'm running behind my own shadow, so to say. So therefore also no editing in this video. You let me know if you like this series and if you want me to continue. I really love to develop this format. I think I can still do a better job in explaining what needs to be explained. So for that I need to just make a lot of videos to improve myself. You let me know how to do that, what you miss, what you like, what you would like to see improve, and the future of this entire channel. At the clavichord, at the piano, at the organ, maybe, who knows. Anyways, don't forget to check out the Kickstarter. I would very much appreciate having your name. That's the first volume here, and the second one will be more names in the second one. It was cool to have your name there, and I think you would enjoy it too, to be part of that community here on Kickstarter and have your name on the CD production. Also, check out our podcast. The link will be in the description box. And if you like this series and everything we do, there is a Patreon site where you can support us. That's very important. My patrons are the backbone of everything that I do, and I mean that seriously. So that was it for today. Thank you for watching, and we see each other very, very soon again. Bye.